Hey everybody, how are you? This is Bob Cargill, and this is Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, my podcast on marketing, advertising, PR, social media, business, you name it, we talk about it. So happy to have you here. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. And today, this time around, you're going to hear me have a great conversation, a ridiculously awesome conversation with my colleague at Suffolk University in Boston. Her name is Dr. Suela Papagelis. Suela and I have just wrapped up our fall semesters teaching at Suffolk, fall semester 2025. Yeah, we're in the middle, almost towards the end of December, almost there, almost the new year. But yeah, we just wrapped up the fall semester, and we're going to talk about that a little bit of a recap on the business classes we taught, the business students we taught who are in our class, Foundations of Business or Business Foundations, and this was incoming freshmen, and we each taught different sections of the same course. And so we're going to talk about that course today. We're going to talk about how ridiculously awesome our students were during the course of the fall semester, and we're going to talk about everything from AI to marketing to our teaching styles, how we motivate our students, how we motivate ourselves, career development for our students beyond their educational journeys, and everything that we think was a highlight, a positive in the semester, which is pretty much everything we did during the semester. It was all positive, especially the students. The students are rock stars that we both have in our classrooms, and you're going to hear us reflect on that in the next 40 to 45 minutes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching if you're watching on YouTube or listening wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Thank you for listening to Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, episode 206. It's myself with Dr. Suela Papagelis. Hey everybody, this is Bob Cargill, and today I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled to be joined by my colleague, Dr. Suela Papagelis. And Suela and I both teach Foundations of Business at Suffolk University, but we also both teach at other schools in Boston, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. We've just wrapped up our semester working with first-year students, but we also, again, both teach not just undergrad, but grad students, and we've been busy, Suela, and we've both been working hard, and we both have a little time to come up for air, and we both agreed to have this conversation, and me to learn a little bit more about you and us to have a conversation in general about teaching, but also we can talk marketing, social media, AI, business, what have you. How are you, Suela?
Good. Thank you, Bob, for having me on your podcast. I always follow all your podcasts, and they're so inspiring, and they bring in so much joy, and I think it's a great addition. So I'm honored to be on your podcast.
Well, I'm honored. I'm being honored that you are here, Suela, and we'll launch into what typically is a first question I ask my guests, and that is really just to tell us about your journey, what you think might be highlights or important touch points or milestones. That's more the word I'm looking for in your journey up to this point. I know you have a business background, and as well as obviously all the teaching, like myself. We have very similar paths, I think, different but similar, if you will.
Yes, so I studied international business at Suffolk University for my bachelor's degree, and then I did get my MBA. I've been working in investment companies since I graduated, even before then. And then I decided that I wanted to teach. So once I got my master's degree, I started teaching, and once you get a taste of both worlds, it's just, you can't live without it. You just don't feel complete. So as I started teaching, I started teaching at Suffolk University, and then at Boston College, at Boston University, and then at Northeastern. I just loved it. I loved how students, they kind of inspire us every day as we help them navigate through challenges and, through learning experience. I decided that I wanted to do my doctorate degree. And I did do my doctorate degree at Temple University, and I graduated last year. And I think it's one of the best decisions I've ever done in my life. It's just once you're eager to always learn, it's like a milestone that you reach and you feel good about yourself because it's something that you thought you didn't want it, but along the way you realized, yes, I do want it. And definitely the best decisions I've ever made.
That is awesome, Dr. Suela Papagelis. To make clear that yes, you are a PhD, correct? That's what that means.
Yes. So I did get a doctorate at Temple University. It was an executive doctorate in business administration.
Very, very impressive. Back in the day when I got my master's degree, and that was a long time ago, got my undergrad, BA, and BS, television and radio, believe it or not. And I thought of maybe going after a doctorate degree, but didn't. And I don't think at this point in my life I would, but I am impressed and yes, part envious because I always thought that would be a nice accomplishment and impressive accomplishment. So congrats to you.
Thank you. Actually, I did start it from, so you and I will work with Jodi Denton, and she got her doctorate at Temple, and I did see it online and congratulated her on LinkedIn, and I asked her, she's like, it's very difficult, it's so much work, and I had small children back then, so she was like, Suela, I'm just letting you know I was able to start doing that when my kids went to college because you need to dedicate a lot of time. I did take that as a challenge. So,
say, of course you did.
Right. So then I was able to get in. It was a very competitive program. And yes, it was hectic. I can't, I can't sugarcoat it how hectic it was. I had to travel to Philly once a month, 3 days, the whole weekend. I used to do lectures, 8 hours. We had lectures and, having a full-time job, teaching in 3 schools, having a family. And it's always like having, a life full, but you're just trying to manage everything. But it was doable. I have to say it was doable. And again, the best decision I ever made in my life.
That is awesome, ridiculously awesome. And you do have a lot going on. And we've talked, we actually, I don't think, met all that long ago, maybe within the last year, as our paths have crossed at Suffolk University. But we've hit it off, right? We hit it off right from the beginning. I think we've talked and shared about our styles towards teaching and our backgrounds and also our temperament, if that's the right word. We're both, if I include me in what I'm saying about you is, well, first and foremost, ambitious and always achieving, reaching for the brass ring, if you will. You are juggling so much, and it's very impressive. What is the reason? Is that how, if you will, you were born? Is it something you picked up along the way? What makes you such a hard worker, such a determined, ambitious professional?
So I grew up, I was born and grew up in Albania. During the time of my childhood, we had a lot of troubles. Like I've seen 2 civil wars happening, and coming to the United States was a chance of a lifetime that actually I decided I have to make the best of my life. But I have to say that my parents, they always push me to do better and better. And one advice that they've given me all my life was compete with yourself. The moment that you put goals on yourself, you don't care about competing with others. And I believe that is very important because it keeps you focused. It keeps you focused on what is the most important thing for you. And usually I see people always looking at others. Oh my God, this person achieved this and that. And then people lose their focus. The moment that you put goals on yourself and you focus what's the most important for you, because not everything can be good for everyone. So the moment that you focus on yourself, that's the key to success.
I do a lot of social media, and I've been a copywriter and creative director and content creator, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm always looking for nuggets when I create content, and I'm always thinking ahead and in many different directions as well. And when you said what you just said, I'm saying, oh, hey, that could be the headline of this podcast, but I'm sure there are many more nuggets I'm about to hear. But competing with yourself, I couldn't agree more with you. As a runner, something I do on the side, that is absolutely my mantra. I try not to focus much on my opponents, if you will, my fellow competitors. Especially as I get older, I'm not necessarily even able to keep up with my fellow competitors. So it's all me versus me. And if we are our own worst critics, and I don't necessarily love that expression, but you know what I mean, we push ourselves hard. We're going to go far, and I try to instill that in my students. And I want to ask about you and your style of teaching, because I know we've talked about this before. We both want to motivate and inspire. What drives you there? What drives you to bring who you are, the competition with yourself, the ambitious you, and determined you? How do you impart that to your students?
So I always had in mind that sky is the limit. By the way, that's the name of the company that I built, my consulting company. And I tell the students all the time, the moment that you want something and you put the efforts, you have to put the efforts in the work, because you can be the brightest person in the room. But if you're not putting the work and if you're not putting the efforts into it, achieving your dreams could be very difficult. And you kind of have to take a leap when it comes to making decisions. Not always the decisions are going to be perfect, but then you don't have regrets. Like, one thing in life that I don't have is I don't have regrets. If I wanted to take a chance on things, I took it. At times, was success. At times was a lesson. You can never see things as failures. There's no such a thing as failures. If you're not successful at something, that was a lesson. You learned something, and then next time that you're trying that, it's going to be a success. And through my experience, I always tell students, you need to be in an environment where you feel yourself. You have to be in an environment where actually people cherish you, where you see yourself thriving. The moment that you don't see that environment, you can move on and you can look for the environment. You are, like, at times students, they laugh when I say, but you're not a tree. You're not planted somewhere that, oh my God, I cannot go anywhere. No, absolutely not. You have to see what's best for you. You have to find your happy place.
Yeah, not even a question. And being happy, having passion for what you do. We both, you and I, again, having talked before, I'll tell briefly my story, which you've heard, but for the sake of anyone listening, watching, I wasn't always happy in the business world, even though I thought I might have been. And now I'm incredibly happy as a professor, and it makes the work so much easier than, frankly, my 35 plus years in corporate America, in advertising and marketing agencies and on the client side, et cetera, et cetera. So on to your point, I like to tell my students, make sure you're really going to enjoy what you do after college, because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life.
Right. No, I agree with you. But in the same time, I had to change my major 3 times. And I do get a lot of students coming and saying, oh, I don't think I picked the right major. I don't know what to do. I'm not happy. So I heard from everyone that computer science was the thing. So I registered, I went to class, and 1 and zeros, I was bored to death. I mean, computer science could be great for some people. It was not for me. So the next semester, I immediately changed it to political science. And I wanted to be a lawyer. I started working in a law firm, and I realized that's not what I wanted to do. And then I changed it to international business. And I could do so much with that degree. I could work in investment. I could work in marketing. I could do anything. So when students come to me with questions, I tell them my story. I turned out fine. I changed it. As long as you realize that you need to make the changes as soon as possible before, you're losing so many credits, just change it. Be who you want to be in the future, because that's going to be the profession that you choose for the rest of your life. And you and I would both know, when you're young, you can make so many decisions, good or bad, but it affects only you. The moment you have a family, that your mistakes are felt by everyone. So students, I tell them all the time, just make the right decision that makes you happy. This is, just like you, this is a profession that you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. Or actually, I changed professions. I was working in investment, and then I got my doctorate degree. I opened up my own company. Now I have a consulting company and I teach. So I think the moment that we all believe that we're not stuck, there's always a solution out, we can find it. It's just a set.
Don't be afraid of change. I couldn't agree more. I wrote my book about my career up until a few years ago about all of that, 20 jobs, 20 lessons, and my having changed, pivoted in the marketing industry. I stayed in that industry my whole career, still am in that industry, but absolutely did I work at a multitude of agencies. That's what a lot of creative people do anyways, as a creative director. But I learned from all of those experiences, and I was the same way when I was young and not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up, if you will, but more I wanted to do everything, and I still am that way. I want to conquer the world, and that's okay. I've realized that that's a good thing. That keeps us going, and so yeah. But what you said, I took away big time from what you just said is, making mistakes when you're younger, in many cases only affects you, whereas when you acquire a family and children and all these additional responsibilities, it can, the consequences of your decisions can manifest in so many different ways. So it does the stakes get higher, but at the same time, we should never live unhappily if we can help it. We should always realize there's a plan B or a plan C, etc. Do you agree with that?
I agree with you, and I do have people that I know that they're stuck. They're not happy on their profession. They feel that they're just going to work because they want to get a paycheck. And I tell them, if you plan it well, you need to have a long-term plan in. You can always end up doing what you like and also make the money that you need. It's just a matter of long-term planning and focus. The moment that you're focused on what you want, you don't have to be stuck. But there's so many people stuck out there that they don't like what they're doing. They're stuck, they're made for it, and they just feel burned out.
So, well, I have seen that too, to this day, in people I meet or people I know, and I'm frankly sad for them. But I also think it's a lot of people, meaning a lot of people are afraid of change, and
yes,
it can be intimidating. Yeah, it's
100%.
So you
don't
have to
take the leap of, making a decision. You are never going to change. And sometimes when I hear the same story from people, oh my God, I'm not happy. I don't know if I want to do this. And I'm like, do something. Don't just complain. Do something. Because, okay, for the moment you might be complaining to me and we're having coffee and I'm listening and you feel better when you go home. But then when you see that you're stuck in a position for so many years, it's time for you to realize that you have to do something. Change companies, change professions, do something that will make you happy. In the end of the day, everything starts with us. The moment that we are happy, we make everyone around us happy. And we're successful.
Yeah.
So everything starts with us. If we don't work on ourselves, we're never going to make progress or even make anyone else happy.
Yeah, being self-aware and like you said, working on ourselves in many different ways, and that includes emotionally, mentally, physically, intellectually, spiritually, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted to tell you very brief. I'll try to be very brief. I'm a runner, and yesterday I was out on a run on the rail trail here in Sudbury, and they have this new extension of the rail trail. It goes into, I think it's East Sudbury towards Wayland, and I am loving this section of the rail trail. It's beautiful, and it's open land in terms of the view you have. I think it's preserved environment, and the railing on the side. So I like to do daredevil things, and I used to do a lot of daredevil things when I was a kid. As I get older, I have to limit how many daredevil things I do. And my wife, she knows, because I can fall nowadays, or bump my head, or break my finger. Anyways, yesterday I got up on the rail, and because I do motivational videos, and I put the camera on me and tried to film a little, and I didn't fall. I'll say that in advance. But I took a risk. I took a leap of faith, running on the rail with the sun setting in the background and the beautiful vista behind me of the landscape and nature preserve, and I can use that now as a backdrop for some of my motivational speeches, and I think it ties in perfect with what you and I are talking about, and that is, do something different to make you feel more confident, maybe to break out of the routine, and that's what I love to do mentally and physically. I don't know. You must have similar examples, maybe not exactly like that, but
I wish I had the running desire that you have. Every time I see your videos and you're running, I'm like, please, Bob, I wish that could rub on me, and I could start running. It's not what I would do. However, there are many other things that I like doing research. So I also do a lot of coaching. So that's how I spend my time. Plus having kids, and being a mother, it does take a good amount of my time. And so, yes, I do have similar, things that I do, but not as active as you are. Like, I really wish I could.
I am lucky that I have the running. I mean, that I had when I was young. I was kind of that way as a kid, and I am lucky that it's carried me, because if I didn't have it, it's therapy for me, frankly. It's cathartic, and I don't know what I'd do without it. But yeah, I've paid the price, trust me, many many times by falling or overdoing it.
But it's also very cultural driven, I have to say. In the United States, I think people are more active when it comes to running. In Europe, we are so. If you ask me, let's go running together, I'll probably give you 1,000 excuses why I can't. But if you telling me, let's go for coffee, I will just run to come. So I think
I like that.
the decisions that we make are very culture driven. But yeah, I do want to be like you one day and just start running every day, since I have a little puppy now. So I want to make that as one of my goals.
We'll try to jog together and have coffee together more often.
Absolutely.
And you are in the thick of things, and I don't have to ask you any probing questions, if you will, but with kids, younger kids, and my kids are older, my grown up, so they're out of the house in their late 20s. My stepchildren in their 30s, and but I know exactly what you. To a degree, you're a mom. I'm just a dad. My wife helped me out and did the lion's share, frankly, of so much of the work at home when I was in the thick of my career. So I don't know how you do it. That's a lot to be a mom and working full time, more than full time, and getting your PhD. So listen. We all have our strengths, and you have so many that I can't even come close to. I've seen it in you from day one.
I think our environment drives us. My boys, they give me the joy of, being a parent is a privilege, but it's also a curse. A privilege because you find this love that you never knew your heart could feel it. But also a curse because you always worried about them. That worriness, it doesn't go away. It's like, even when they're with you, are they studying? Are they eating? Are they being careful when they're crossing the road? Like, every day of their life is a joy, but at the same time, as a parent, that never leaves you. So, they drive me. They drive me to be better. And I think that no matter what we tell our kids, they're not going to do everything, but they will see what we do. They will copy our actions. And I believe that's the foundation for them. If they see a mother that is always trying to do, to achieve things and do her best, I think they just going to mirror that. Those actions, they're going to mirror that and project it in their life. At least that's my hope.
No, exactly. Of course, it's the best. That's idealistic, but we need to, as you said earlier, the sky's the limit. And my expression always reach for the brass ring. We need to feel we're doing the very most we can to be good role models for the younger generation. How do you motivate? It could be your kids or your students or whomever is around you. How do you motivate and inspire? Do you have any tactics, strategies that are unique to yourself or that you've picked up along the way? What's your secret sauce?
So when it comes to students, my ice-breaking exercises with them are the first moments I explain to them about personalities, but also body language and languages. So why? It's very important for students to be understood in an environment. They need to be placed in a very safe environment where they can be themselves. But at the same time, that environment has to help them understand others. So I do have a few videos where they're showing how we can understand people, how, like lookers, for example, people that they look you in the eye, or the listeners, people that just listen, they are paying attention. But when you are in a team and you have a looker and a listener, they can misunderstand each other very quickly because the way how they think and the process they're thinking is very different. So I do these ice-breaking videos to them. And along the way, I make sure that they know they are in a safe environment where there's no stupid questions. Every question has a meaning. Every question needs an answer. And because of us being very different, and I tell them, being different, it's great. We don't have to be the same. We grew up in different places. We grew up by different families. We have similar values, but also very different values. So the moment that you make students feel accepted and they're part of something, they are going to do their best. And if you come to my classes, it's very similar like in your classes. That's what our students share. They say that I can come to you with any question, and I know you're not going to judge me, and I know you're going to give me the best advice. Sometimes students, they don't even just come for what I teach. They have questions about their majors, or they have questions about internships, and I cannot get an internship. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I tell them, you just have to make the efforts. You might try in so many places. Doesn't mean that you're going to get every position, but as long as you keep trying, I believe it's very important. So building a safe environment for students is step number one.
Yeah, I'm amazed, but not surprised at how we think alike. I think we probably act on our thinking, our strategies in our own unique way. But that safe environment, I couldn't agree more with you. It's something I always wanted as a kid and throughout my whole life up to this point in all walks of life, personally, professionally, in school, at work. And too often we don't have that. And if we don't, we clam up, we don't share and open up and flourish. And so for a professor like you, Suela, to make your students feel safe, they're gonna absolutely, they're gonna blossom and flourish, and the sky is the limit. They'll reach for that brass ring, my expression, your expression, and achieve. And it's unfortunately not something in life. It's not as common as you and I would wish it was, and that is, not judging others and speaking up and not being afraid of judgment. Because if you can earn people's trust, I mean, I teach marketing, we both teach business, social media, etc. It's all about trust. I mean, that's business, that's friendships, relationships, that's family. So if you don't have each other's trust, it's not necessarily going to go very far, the relationship. And so good for you to really hammer home on that point that you said, safe environment, a first step, biggest, most important thing in the classroom, really.
But also understanding, so our schools, we're very lucky that our schools are very international. So our students get to experience firsthand dealing with different cultures. And the moment that you emphasize culture as something that is very valuable, then students start learning about each other. The moment they learn about each other, they get to know each other, and those walls, they just coming down slowly. But it makes teamwork very productive. And sometimes even personality. So in business, you always deal with people that have different personalities. You might be from the same culture, but they have different personalities. I think once we teach students to know about culture, different personalities, then these are very good foundation for them to move on to even bigger projects. So, teamwork at times can be very challenging, right? So students, you have some procrastinators and you have the one that they want to have everything done on time. The moment that you kind of introduce them and you place certain steps that are mandatory, them to get to know each other, that way they delegate the tasks, but also the way how they handle each other. It's so much easier the moment that you help them understand personalities and culture. The rest after, it's so much easier. They really learn to work with each other.
Yeah, and in my book about my career, I wrote a lot about teamwork and leadership and getting along with others, having people skills, soft skills, which I know we're stressing a lot these days in school with AI and technology emerging and taking over, if you will, predominating. Soft skills are so important. I have always said to students and people, if they've asked me about my career or work, that getting along with others, soft skills, people skills, your word culture, another word diversity, no matter who we're working with, talking about, interacting with in all walks of life, it makes, we need to be able to understand others and be empathetic of others.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. When you mentioned AI, my dissertation was about artificial intelligence and bias. And throughout my studies, one thing I understood that artificial intelligence, it's a great tool, but we cannot allow it to replace our critical thinking. I don't think we'll ever replace the critical thinking. And with my students, at least what I usually do, because for us it's great as professors because we have done our learning the old-fashioned way. We went to the library, right? We went through books.
Can you believe that?
Right? So it just sounds so ancient to them now.
I know.
But with them, I emphasize a lot critical thinking. And I tell them, I grade you based on critical thinking, not about how well can you memorize questions in a test. I see you critical thinking during projects. I see you critical thinking during case studies. And I do give them very challenging case studies that it takes them outside of their normal, like outside the box. Sometimes they say, well, you, professor, think out of the box. I'm like, no, I throw the box away. There's not even a box around it.
Love that.
Every single one of you, it is very different. You can come up with very different solutions from each other. You might not agree to them, but I'm sure it plants a seed on you that it makes you think differently. And again, coming back to culture, the way we grew up, every single one of us, we can think of a problem very differently than others. And we can come up with different solutions. So here's another thing, Bob, that you and I have witnessed throughout years. What has worked in the past, it's not always going to work. Strategies are very different, and they have to change over times. For example, we're seeing a lot of companies going out of business because they're not changing. And the same thing with artificial intelligence. It is a great tool. It's impressive. It's changing over times. But one thing that we have to keep in mind, until it reaches perfection, is built with bias. There is a lot of bias into it, and also at times it can do more harm than good. So the moment that we keep in mind that artificial intelligence is a tool that can help us improve processes, we are going to be perfectly fine. But we cannot just fully relate and depend on artificial intelligence. And starting with students, on the business foundation that we taught, first thing I did is I took the case studies and we read them in class, paragraph by paragraph. And then as we were reading them, I was asking them, what do you think this meant? That's how you build critical thinking in the young generation. Like, their brain has to exercise, has to learn how to see and read between the lines. And then once we did that as a class, then we put it through AI. And I asked them, now compare. What did we learn when, as a class, we read the case study, and what is AI bringing to us? So we did have a lot of things in common, but in the same time, AI could not articulate or see certain things on critical thinking than human brain can, or the compassion. And I believe that was a very good lesson for them. And on the second case study, I said, okay, let's put it through AI. They're like, no. We want to do it the same way that we did the first time because we understood it better. And throughout the class, that's what we did. We read it together. We analyzed it. Everyone brought their point of view. Everyone just added to everything that we were, brainstorming. And I believe it created a very good habit for them to use your brain, exercise your brain, because right now, especially for freshmen, it's very important for them to learn the habit of reading as much as they can and analyzing things thoroughly.
Yeah, exercising your brain, it's so important at all stages in our lives, certainly at the younger age, and certainly right now with technology making it very easy to not exercise our brains, to just press a button, and especially young people, students, that might be more their inclination, as it is most younger people. You and I probably similarly, if we were young and had AI, geez, it'd be too easy, and our brains wouldn't have developed necessarily as much as they have over the years. So yeah, it's up to us as professors, it's up to the leaders and institutions and role models to set the tone and guide the younger generation, although I'm confident that the younger generation also, they may figure it out even quicker than we do,
Absolutely.
balance. Yeah.
Technology-wise, they are so way more advanced, and they were born with it.
There you go, digital natives, yes.
And as you see every year, they get younger and younger, which means, so it is very impressive how technology has played a big role in their life, and how They are so much more faster at learning technology. And I'm happy that they have on the finger of their tips so much technology to assist them. But I always tell them, you have to make sure that this technology is an addition to what you learn. When you go for interviews, no one is going to tell you, put this on AI. They're going to see, as an individual, what is your critical thinking? How do you approach problems? And I believe the moment that students understand that they have to build, their knowledge is the only thing that they can take away from school, and no one can take it away from them. I believe they can focus on building their own knowledge.
Yeah, AI is their partner, their assistant, but no, we don't want it to be our replacement, obviously. And we risk that if we depend on it too much and place what it gives us higher in terms of status and trust than what actual human beings give us, what we can give to each other. So I like the direction we're going in higher ed with really stressing the critical thinking, the good judgment, decision making, communication skills, leadership, teamwork. You know, because as you and I with our students this fall with all the case studies, a lot of it is it's easy relatively to come up with the right answers, but how do you present that? How do you interpret that? How do you turn that into a unique solution if everyone's coming up with the same solution?
Right. That's another thing. That's another thing. I tell them, the moment that you're trying to find a solution on your own, yes, use AI, absolutely. If you don't use AI nowadays, then you're missing out. But use it as an addition to what you're building on yourself. Use it as a tool that will help you achieve things, but always as a tool. You are the main actor in your own life. You build in knowledge, you build your critical thinking, and then use AI as a tool to complement your knowledge.
Yep, you exactly. And your knowledge should be able to, thanks to AI and all of this technology, should be able to develop quicker and go farther, if you will, than ever before. And that makes it very exciting, you know, in school, in business. I mean, I can't imagine what we're going to be seeing in the future with all this technology. I, was around, as I think you were too, with the emergence of the internet, and we both go back that far. I go back a lot further, but that changed everything, and now AI is going to be even a bigger game changer in terms of what can be accomplished in all walks of life.
So, I agree with you. The world has changed a lot. Society has changed. Technology has improved to levels that we could have never even imagined before. So yes, we do have to embrace them, but I believe being cautious, I think it's a very smart move.
Yeah, I agree. We shouldn't. We need to be very mindful of the pros and cons of all this technology, and we need guardrails.
Absolutely, guardrails are very important. And if you see some of AI, can also be very deceiving. We're seeing a lot of videos online now that they look very real, but can very well spread miscommunication. And it can spread, at times even panic. So the moment that we see things with a more careful eye, and I believe it's safer for the society.
Yeah, the irony is, I know a lot of people are worried and worried about it and opposed to all this technology. But again, when all is said and done, I think we're going to be again more aware of how critical and sensitive and empathetic we have to be in terms of knowing what is real, what isn't real, what is dangerous, what is safe. I think it's going to force us to be more aware of ourselves, each other, our surroundings, etc.?
Guardrails. So if you see in Europe, there are, I think, was in Denmark and Sweden. They already place, I believe, those two countries. They do so. People have the rights of their voice and their face. So no one can really use someone's face on videos or pictures. And I think that is very critical because nowadays we're hearing cases where they're kidnapping kids because they're putting the face of the parents. They're asking for them to be released from school. Or even there were cases with bank accounts being totally wiped out because of, misuse of AI. So I believe the moment that we have guardrails, laws in place, we're going to feel safer. But also social media with AI, it's not very, it's not as safe as we want it to be for our kids. You and I, when we grew up, if we got bullied, it happened on a playground. We came home and stopped. Now, with social media, that can be 24/7.
Yep, it sure is, and it can hang over them and negatively affect them in so many ways, and cyberbullying and online negativity and hate. Sadly, that obviously is a big downside, and as role models, as parents, as leaders, institutions have to really be institutions, and the people working at these institutions have to be on alert on behalf of our constituents. Hey, Suela, we're gonna wind down in a minute or two, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
But I want to open it up to anything you want to say that I haven't asked or that we haven't discussed. I mean, obviously we could talk forever, but we, relatively speaking, should have our own guardrails in terms of how long we talk for.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, how are you? This is Bob Cargill, and that was Bob Cargill's Marketing Show, episode 206. Myself talking to Dr. Suela Papagelis, my colleague at Suffolk University. The episode ended quite abruptly. That's because while we were recording, there was a storm outside and there were high winds, and I lost my internet connection. So the conversation ended quite abruptly, but we were almost about to end the conversation anyway. But because it ended so abruptly, I just wanted to say hey and thank you, and I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that episode of Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. Hope you will tune in to the next episode of Bob Cargill's Marketing Show. Thanks very much.